Hello there.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Jedi Knights, the official Star Wars podcast of JoyClicks. I'm your host, Christian Buckley. Joining me is my Chewbacca himself, my Chewie, my co-pilot, Mike Connors.
I wish I could do a Chewbacca voice. Like, I was thinking about it in, like, the split second that you said that, but then I realized I would have made a fool out of myself. But not only would have I made a fool out of myself, I would have embarrassed all Wookiees. So I just chose not to do it.
Yeah, and we've been there, you know. I've heard your Chewbacca. It's not great. Maybe I should have given you another nickname, but it's stuck at this point, so I can't change it.
Yeah, you definitely can't change it. And honestly, I like it, so whatever.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good. It's summer.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice outside. It's been a little thundery though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But what about you?
It's been feeling like Dagobah recently. Today, nice dry day, dry air.
Okay, but Dagobah, like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of water around. I would kind of like put a flood together with Dagobah, maybe.
Yeah, but it's like swampy.
True.
You know? This is a Star Wars podcast. We are 40 episodes in, so...
Yeah, that's a big achievement right there.
Yeah, we're not as old as A New Hope, but like recently it turned 40, right? A couple years ago?
Yeah, and I think Empire Strikes Back turned 40 this year.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you go.
We do have a pretty big week of news to talk about. We have one huge story we're going to get to, as well as a quote from a certain Star Wars actor about maybe returning for a sequel. And at the end of the show, we will be ranking definitively our 10 favorite Star Wars characters each.
I don't know how definitive. I don't know how definitive it actually is, but yeah. Sure.
But before we get to any of that, as always, we're going to kick the show off the way we have been recently with From the Jedi Archives, a segment where Mike and I each pull an article from Wikipedia, educate each other about it, and the community as well. So
Yes.
Who wants to go first this week? Do you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go first. Why not? So I chose this week on my Wikipedia article, Kyle Katarn.
Hey, I'm familiar with that name.
You are familiar with that name. So yeah, I guess the quote that's featured here is, "I'm no Jedi. I'm just a guy with a lightsaber and a few questions." Ooh, mysterious.
Yeah.
But he's a human male rebel operative from his home world, Sulon, and later a Jedi of the New Jedi Order. He was a former Imperial stormtrooper who defected to the rebellion. He was often paired with Jammed Ors. They did a bunch of stuff together, and he trained with Luke, I think, right?
I believe he did, yeah, and he is the protagonist of Jedi Academy, I think, or Jedi Outcast, one of them?
Both, I think.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
I don't know. But anyways, in case you were wondering, he's 1.8 meters tall.
Okay.
Fair complexion, brown eyes, and brown hair. So there you go.
Nice. Very cool. Do you think... So Kyle Katarn, as far as I'm aware, is no longer canon.
No, he's not.
Do you think he gets swept in? Like, eventually when we get our Bridge the Gap between 6 and 7's TV series, do we get Kyle Katarn as a Jedi trainee?
Maybe.
Could be cool, right? Fan favorite?
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, like, it would definitely all have to be different, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's possible.
Yeah, I feel like Kyle Katarn and Mara Jade are two huge characters, and they're so huge that it's foolish to think they won't be retooled, you know?
Yeah, but I feel like they would have done that by now. Don't you think?
Maybe.
Like, they've already done so much in that era, and, like, messed around with, like, descendants of, like, Han and Leia.
Yeah.
And, like, they just didn't do that.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it's possible that, like, we missed something if they didn't tell us yet.
Yeah, this might be a personal thing, but to be fair, I feel like we really did not touch on the 6 to 7 gap really at all until around when 9 came out, you know?
Sure.
So,
yeah.
There's a lot of time to fill there. But, yeah, good pull. Fan favorite.
Yeah, no, he's a good character. What about you?
This week, I chose Gonki.
Oh, can I guess what this is before you?
Please
Here, I'm
do.
not gonna.
Please put your skills to the test and guess what this is.
Is he the Gonk droid that's on the Jawa Sandcrawler in the beginning of episode 4? Of New Hope?
No.
Okay.
She is the Gonk droid that is available in Star Wars Uprising, a canon video game for iOS and Android devices.
Okay, I hate that. That's not at all what I thought that was.
Gonki was a GNK, or Gonk, series power droid. She was an unusually enthusiastic member of her series and had a taste for combat situations.
Wow.
Gonki joined the Smugglers crew and participated in various missions during the events of Star Wars Uprising.
Okay.
Let's see, 1.1 meters tall. Uh, her affiliation is to the Alliance to Restore the Republic. And
There you go.
her manufacturer is the Industrial Automaton.
There you go. Also mentioned in Star Wars Battlefront 2, apparently.
Interesting. I missed that.
Me too.
But yeah, I saw that one. I was like, hey, you know what? Gonk droids. I don't think we've ever had a named Gonk droid, so Gonki being the only named Gonk I'm familiar with is interesting.
Right. Yeah.
It's a choice. But that is my pick. That's all we have
Nice.
on her. Maybe
That's-
maybe we get a comic book of her down the line or something.
Yeah. Hopefully. I guess I'm gonna have to start playing the Star Wars Uprising video game.
You know what, Mike? I downloaded
No.
Galaxy of Heroes.
Yeah. Did you?
Yeah, I haven't started it yet, but it's on my iPhone.
Are you gonna get addicted?
I might, because I tried the Marvel one around like January, and I was playing that until March, so
There you go. Yeah. This is how it begins.
it is begun.
Wait.
Go ahead.
Wait. Say what you're gonna say.
I was gonna say begun the microtransaction wars have.
True. Wait. Did you ever play? Just remind me. Did
Yeah.
you ever play Battlefront 2 campaign?
No, I did not.
So you're talking about how you want some stuff between 6 and 7. You should probably play that.
Yeah, true. So that does exist. That's probably the most notable thing outside of Mando that fills that gap, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Okay, yeah. I intend to still, you know, I've been playing tons of Battlefront between episodes recently, so like I'll get there. But maybe in the near future.
Yeah, there you go.
But that does it for the Jedi Archives of the week. So now we're going to get into some news. Mike, do you want to start with the interesting rumor update interview quote, or do you want to go straight to the new hotness?
No, let's tease into it a little bit, Christian.
Okay, so the interesting thing, the small.
Smaller things to the bigger things.
Okay, let's go for that. Alden Ehrenreich was interviewed by Esquire recently. So during the interview, he was asked about Solo and Star Wars because he was giving an interview because he's in some new show for the NBC streaming service Peacock.
Okay.
And I was like digging into him recently because I mentioned a couple weeks ago I watched Solo again and I was like, what's he been up to since then? This is it. This is the project he's been attached to.
So, has he been doing it ever since, or is it just like a new thing and he's really just been doing nothing until now?
This is a new thing. He hasn't done anything else since Solo.
Interesting. Okay.
So, he was asked if he would return to the character of Han Solo, and he responded, quote, "It depends on what it is. It depends on how it's done. It depends if it feels innate to the story," end quote. Further down, he was also asked if he's heard anything about a sequel, and he says, quote, "No, I don't know anything about that. I mean, you know, I think our movie was kind of the last of the conventional era Star Wars movie release time. I've heard some stuff, but nothing concrete." And then he said, "I had to, like, dust off my old Star Wars answers for this." So, that's really the extent of it. There's things to extrapolate here, I feel like. But what's your immediate thoughts?
my immediate thoughts are like, you just can't trust anything that he says. Like,
Sure.
like when they ask him like, has is anything in the works, and he says no, like he could just be straight up lying. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's almost likely that he is.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's not, even though he says no in terms of like hearing about a sequel, I feel like it's not saying like, no, it's not happening, because I feel like just the way how like NDAs work, if nothing was being talked about, he could just say no,
Yeah.
In this specific case, if they're saying, hey, would you return to the character? And he's like, oh, of course. I had a fun time. If it's the right story, yes. We typically don't hear actors say that sort of thing if they don't want to come back. They'll be like, oh, I felt like my chapter closed very nice. Like,
Yeah, no, he's definitely down to do it.
yeah.
That sounds like he's down to do it.
Right. So the more interesting thing where he says, I've heard some stuff.
Yeah, that's a little questionable.
Yeah. Like what do you interpret that as?
I think it may. I don't know. Like, I would say that it's possible that he slipped up.
Okay.
Maybe he slipped up. Maybe he wasn't supposed to say that. Maybe
Sure.
he wasn't able to just like completely commit to saying like, yeah, no, like I've heard nothing. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it also may just be like a tactic for confusion. Maybe he just wants to. Maybe he just wants all of this. Maybe that's what Disney told him to do.
Yeah.
That's what the big mouse in the big tower did.
Yeah. It could very well be the case, I think interviews like this happen a lot, and people read into them too much, but for the number of interviews and reading into too much I've seen reported on things like this and responses like this about sequels, to me this did stand out as like, oh, he's dancing around the way he's talking about it, at least in the way that an actor would if they did have a project they were working on that they couldn't talk about,
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Is there a video of that?
I don't think so. It was from Esquire. I saw the write up and reporting of it on Star Wars Newsnet. So I did not see it from Esquire. So the Esquire website may have something, but
Interesting. Okay. Well, if I was just saying, like, if it was like one of those conventional like press interviews, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
two people sit in like those chairs, and whatever. Like I would have liked to see his demeanor while he said that.
absolutely, yeah, for sure.
Like, I feel like there's a lot of context left in there.
Mm-hmm. So, obviously, both of us on this here show, we want Solo too. So,
Yeah.
If this fuels any of the fire, you know what? Honestly, I feel like if they asked him about this, they should at least have the courtesy to be like, "Hey, have you seen the fan campaigns?"
That's how you really relate it.
Yeah, because I feel like that at least is much more like there can be commentary on that. Like he could at least say like, "Oh yeah, it's great," because reception at the time wasn't amazing, but like seeing all this positivity around him and the film now, like that would have been a better top. Like I would have asked him that if I was interviewing him.
Yeah, well, I feel he definitely I don't know. That's why I question that part of his answer when he said, that he heard things.
Yeah,
because like I feel like he's just trying to like sow some discord. You know what I mean? Like he's just trying to add fuel to the fire.
yeah.
Like,
So
like blow smoke essentially.
yeah. So like really continuing, like trying to continue to stir the make Solo 2 happen sort of buzz.
Yeah, like he's trying to like keep it going either way.
Yeah, because we've seen other films be successful in that way, like some of the methods of some of these fans were horrible, but the Snyder Cut thing, that worked.
That did work. I mean, did you watch that at all? Did it come out?
So the Snyder Cut is next year, because they're really going in on that thing in terms of like making it a fully realized film.
Okay.
But even with like Deadpool, right? Deadpool was thrown around all the time. There was a script that leaked in like 2010, I think, and it was the script for the most part they used for the film. And by leaking the test footage around a Comic-Con, it was like the buzz was so huge, it was bigger than anything at that Comic-Con, that Deadpool became a movie, you know? So like, people on the inside can like tease that information. Maybe someone like him who would love another Star Wars paycheck is what you're saying, like, oh yeah, there are some things I'm hearing that maybe it'll happen, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like he's blowing smoke for a reason. I don't know if it's a negative reason, because he doesn't want it, or if he does. Like, I don't know.
It's a good observation. I didn't even think about it that way when I was reading the original quote. So,
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I guess, you know, the only thing that we're gonna have to figure out is, or time will tell. You know.
Yeah, you're right. Well, with that, we have the big official real news story of the episode.
Yeah.
I screamed when I saw this.
All right, I didn't quite scream when I saw this.
Like,
I didn't have that reaction.
Yeah, it was like a hype scream. I was like, hell yeah, you know?
Okay.
Listeners, if you are not aware, yesterday, the 13th of July, the Star Wars blog revealed the next Star Wars TV show, but more specifically, the next animated Star Wars TV show, even more specifically, the sequel series to Star Wars The Clone Wars, titled Star Wars The Bad Batch.
That's right.
Yeah. Hell
That's
yeah.
right. That's right.
First off, great title.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it. And again, if you're not familiar, the show is about the Bad Batch, who were introduced at the beginning of Season 7 of The Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mike, if you want, I can read through the blog posts from Star Wars. It's not super long, so I can just power through the whole thing. We get a good idea.
Yeah, just go for it.
Yeah, sure. So, July 13th, Star Wars The Bad Batch, an all-new animated series to debut on Disney Plus in 2021. Today, Disney Plus ordered its next animated series from Lucasfilm, Star Wars The Bad Batch, fresh off the critically acclaimed series finale of Star Wars The Clone Wars. The Disney Plus original series will premiere on the streaming service in 2021. Then we get into the setting and the plot. The series follows the elite and experimental clones of the Bad Batch, first introduced in Season 7, as they find their way in a rapidly changing galaxy in the immediate aftermath of the Clone Wars. Members of the Bad Batch, a unique squad of clones who vary genetically from their brothers in the Clone Army, each possess a singular exceptional skill which make them extraordinarily effective soldiers and a formidable crew. In the post-Clone War era, they will take on daring mercenary missions as they struggle to stay afloat and find new purpose. Quote, giving new and exciting fans Giving new and existing fans the final chapter of Star Wars The Clone Wars has been our honor at Disney Plus, and we are overjoyed by the global response to this landmark series, said Agnes Chu, Senior Vice President of Content at Disney Plus. Continuing, while The Clone Wars may have come to its conclusion, our partnership with the groundbreaking storytellers and artists at Lucasfilm Animation is only beginning. We are thrilled to bring Dave Filoni's vision to life through the next adventures of the Bad Batch. And then we do have some information on who is working on the show. Star Wars The Bad Batch is executive produced by Dave Filoni. Athena Portillo, who worked on Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. Brad Rao, who worked on Rebels and Resistance. And Jennifer Corbett, who worked on Resistance and NCIS. With Carrie Beck, who worked on The Mandalorian and Rebels as co-executive producer. And Josh Rhimes as producer. And Corbett is the head writer. That is all the information, officially.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so where do you want to start with this? Because we were both pretty positive on the Bad Batch arc from Season 7.
Yeah, definitely positive on this.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Bad Batch arc.
Me too.
Season 7.
Yeah, like... go ahead.
No, say what you're going to say.
I was going to say, just to sum up, I think where we both stood, it was like, if that arc was placed in any other season, it would have been a huge standout. Like, this arc was awesome. incredible. And then like in season 7, it was like, okay, cool. And then with the hindsight of the next arc, it was like, oh, that was really good. And then the final one blew it away, you know? So like it had a weird placement, but I feel like anywhere else it would have been a shining, amazing arc of the series. And it really is. It's just within the context of season 7, it's like the second best.
No, it is a really great arc, honestly. And like I do agree with your assessment that like if it were in any other season, maybe saved for like season 5, it would be pushed. It would be the best arc. It's definitely one of the top arcs in the entire show. It's just like it kind of got overshadowed by the Siege of Mandalore. But you know, I wasn't like super hyped when I heard this news. I was like pretty hyped because I liked to see new Star Wars content, and like I enjoyed the Bad Batch enough to like get excited about something like this.
Is there a button?
On like, you know, thinking about it more after that initial reaction, I started to get a little bit more excited about it because I realized the potential it has to bring back some of these characters that we started to get to know in the Clone Wars.
For sure.
So that's my take on it. I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. I think like I said, this arc was great. I think a batch of characters are really interesting. There's a whole lot more to mine with them. In hindsight, I'm kind of surprised we didn't all predict this, because at the end of that arc, like Echo joins them and they just go off. And it's like, oh yeah, wouldn't it be cool to get like a book or game about them, not the next series? Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't think any of us would have been able to figure this out. I mean, like, we could have speculated as much as we wanted, but, like, it would have been hard to predict that the Bad Batch, of all things, were going to be the next animated series. Like, come on.
Yeah, because there was speculation that, like, the next show would be...
The Rebels sequel.
Yeah, and I did see some people saying it would be Clone Wars Season 8 and everything but name about Ahsoka and Rex, where they leave off. Which I feel like you want to save that for maybe the live action show or diving into that further down the line. So I do like continuing the timeline through the perspective of the Bad Batch. Pretty, like, a lot, because the setup for it too, of like being mercenaries, maybe doing a job of the week type thing, leading to Filoni style, like a 20 episode arc of a season. It's like sort of the best of Mando, but with the set dressing and storytelling cycles of Clone Wars, I think.
I do agree with you. I think I think it's probably going to start off like very mission of the week kind of thing. Yeah, because he has a tendency to do so. Dave Filoni. I think it has just so much potential to explore this new time in the Star Wars galaxy. There's very little of like the immediate like aftermath of Order 66,
right?
And especially from their perspective,
for sure.
As a clone trooper, still, they are genetically different, but they still are clone troopers. So
yeah. So my question there, you bring up a good point about them being clones. So do we just think that they didn't have inhibitor chips because of their mutations? Do we think that they were able to override them thanks to Echo? Like,
that's what makes me... Well, I mean, that is a good point. They are with Echo, so Echo will be in the show too. It just makes me think that, like, this show is going to have to start off maybe, like, right before Order 66 or, like, in the immediate, like, aftermath of Order 66 to explain that. Because you can't just start the show and, like, not explain that.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't make any sense.
I think you're right. I think they could also probably get away with, depending on the tone of the show, introducing it with just diving straight in, maybe like a couple months after Order 66, and then dish out through flashback sequences.
That's fine. I mean, that's fine. But I feel like they have an opportunity there to like actually do cool things. Like if they do it through flashback sequences, I would kind of be sad,
Yeah. do you like? How much crossover do you think we're going to be getting tonally with where we left off with Clone Wars? Because as we saw with Rebels, which was the previous follow-up, in air quotes, to Clone Wars, pretty decent shift in like tone and storytelling. And where we leave off with Season 7 of Clone Wars, specifically the Siege of Mandalore arc, that's like level of production and storytelling was acclaimed in the fandom, you know? Like,
well, I think the level of production is going to be the same.
Okay.
Honestly, I think like I don't know why they would. You know, it was just too good in the Clone Wars. Like,
yes,
they really just outdid themselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, tonally, I think it may be a little bit darker, just because like I'm reading the press release as well, and like it does say that it takes place in the immediate aftermath of the Clone Wars, so it's like not a good time for the galaxy.
Right.
So I don't know. I think production wise, it's going to be on par with Season 7. I think maybe like, I don't know how long the seasons are going to be, but maybe they have like something at the end that's like, you know, of higher production as Season 7 was. You know how like Siege of Mandalore was like a little bit better.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just a thought. What do you think?
I mean, my hope is that we are at the Siege of Mandalore levels of production from Episode 1 here, and we just hold on to that.
I hope so. I don't think so, though.
Yeah, like, I think visually, I think it's going to look exactly like the end of Season 7, because, like, again, I can only compare this to Rebels because that was the previous follow-up. Even, like, the font here, it is the Clone Wars font for the title. It's not like Rebels, how they had their own, like, sharper-looking logo, you know? Like,
yeah.
This looks like if you had the font set of the alphabet that you typed the Clone Wars with for the last couple seasons, and then you typed in the Bad Batch, and then that's it.
No, you're right.
Also, in the backdrop of the title, you can see a clone visor, and it does look like it has the paintbrush-looking effect of a lot of Clone Wars models. So, I would be surprised if it doesn't look like Clone Wars. I don't know how you feel about that.
If it doesn't look like Clone Wars, you're saying?
I'd be surprised if it doesn't look like Clone Wars.
Oh, I would also be surprised if it doesn't. I think it will. I think it will look like Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Definitely. I don't see. Yeah. It just doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
They're like Clone Wars characters, you know. Like.
Yeah. Would that be?
I guess like that doesn't necessarily mean that they couldn't do something different. But.
Yeah. So, with that being said, though, do you expect a lot of crossover? You mentioned this briefly earlier, but do you think there would be crossover with some more Clone Wars characters? Like, do you think we'll eventually run into Ahsoka and Rex at one point? Maybe Rex meets up with Echo, just like check in on him or something? Or
definitely.
Do you think the Bad Batch could, since they're mercenaries and they don't have any real allegiance, they could take a hit on a Jedi or something? Like
something like that, man. There's gonna be Jedi in this somehow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether that's Ahsoka. I know she's not a Jedi.
Yes.
But you know what I mean. There's gonna be people with lightsabers in this, absolutely.
Yeah.
If that's what you're asking.
Yeah, like I think we'll probably see Ventress again.
Yeah.
Because she's off being a bounty hunter. Who else would we run into? Probably.
I feel like we'll see Ahsoka.
Ahsoka, I think, is a fair shot. If not her, then definitely Rex, because like him and Echo are like, that was his whole arc in 7. You know, it was like, I have to find this guy.
I hope we see Ahsoka. I don't see why we wouldn't see Ahsoka.
No, I'm with you. I think that they might not want to spread her too thin. I don't know, but like, I would love to see her in this show. I feel like it would be more of a cameo thing, not like the Bad Batch plus Ahsoka and Rex. You know.
No, definitely
Like to that extent, I don't think we would see much of Maul either. Maybe here or there, once.
Ooh, we definitely see him again.
Yeah, I think he'll show up in the season the way I think Rex and Ahsoka will. I just don't think it's going to be like a recurring role, you know?
Yeah. Do you think it? I mean, actually, this is a good question. Do you think it's all going to be in the first season? Do you think we're going to get like all of these characters that we're naming right now, like all at once, essentially, or is it going to be spread over a few seasons?
I think we'll probably get a couple seasons of this because it's ideally. I think it was a great call because I think what this is going to do is carry that momentum that they had leading into Clone Wars, which was insane. Like, my entire Twitter feed earlier this year when we were going along our watch along as well.
Yep.
Clone Wars was everywhere, you know? And I feel like, with the exception of a couple episodes of Season 7, a lot of people were really happy with it. So getting more spiritually through the Bad Batch, the same tone, if we're expecting that, visual style the same way, the opportunity of characters like Ahsoka and Rex and Maul to come back again. Like, I think they're probably going to want to make this go as long as they can tell interesting stories with it, you know?
Yeah, I think that they can tell a lot of interesting stories, and I think Dave Filoni has, definitely evolved as a storyteller, and they're giving him more and more responsibility, and I think he should take the Kevin Feige role of the Star Wars universe, but that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting, and I'm just excited to see it, man. Like, I think it's a cool time in the canon to explore, and yeah.
Yeah, and you know, there's like a lot of other new Star Wars content from this era that we could eventually see, you know, like maybe something with Seer Junda or some Rebels crossover, depending on how long this goes, like see Hera, or maybe we run into Kanan.
Yeah, I actually saw someone said, like, on Twitter, maybe we'll see, like, younger versions of whoever's, characters in Rebels and stuff.
Yeah.
It's possible. You never know.
For sure. And there's like you're saying, there's just endless potential because we could see like what it would be like for them within the Empire, interacting with the Empire, trying to hide that they're clones, that whole thing. Like, I feel like this show is going to be very good, and I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be really, really good. Definitely down.
Yeah. Also, now they're going to get merch.
Who, the Bad Batch?
Yeah.
True.
Lego sets, action figures. I just got shelves up. I can get a Bad Batch set.
Nice. Yeah, you gotta start collecting the Black Series with me, dude.
I know. As soon as I can find the Beskar Mando, it's over. I got a Baby Yoda pop on the shelf right now, so I need that. I need the Mando Black Series.
Yeah, you do.
Last question for you about the Bad Batch.
Yeah. Did
this announcement tempt you at all to rewatch their arc? Because I think I'm gonna rewatch it this week.
No, not at all.
No.
But I mean, now that you bring it up, maybe.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it independently. No.
Yeah, because I feel like that arc too. We already praised it, but like I think it's just a really good standalone slice of Clone Wars. And I got some people texting me of like, "Hey, what's this Bad Batch thing?" And I was debating on, well, one, I think they should watch our guide, which is at Jedi Knights JC on Twitter. You can see all the 70 episodes that you should watch to catch up on Clone Wars.
That is a very comprehensive and well put together guide. Thank you, Jack Martin. I think everybody should read it and use it.
Yes, I got my girlfriend going through it right now. But
okay. Nice.
Bad Batch is in 2021. If you want to watch Clone Wars, just go through the 70 odd episodes plus season 7, and then you'll be there. You'll be fully prepared for any crossover, any references. But for the people I know that don't want to commit that, I feel like they'd be fine just watching that Bad Batch arc to get an idea of the tone that this new series might be, and learn these characters, because they get introduced in those 4 eps, and like we're saying, I feel like the attitude and writing and spirit of that arc is probably going to continue into this show.
Definitely.
So,
I think overall I'm just excited for this.
Me too. It's gonna be a good year.
It's always exciting when there's new Star Wars, man.
For sure. Yeah. Like, we get a game.
That's a fact of life.
Yeah. We get 2 games this year. Next year, we get a couple shows. Oh, we get Mando this year, too.
We get Mando this year, dude.
We have an embarrassment of riches.
No, yeah. It's always good news when we get new Star Wars.
Absolutely. Well, when that does happen, the news week surrounding it is usually pretty light because that's all the news there is this week.
Okay. Well, luckily for our listeners, we came prepared for that.
We absolutely did. This was going to be the whole show because a little inside baseball right here. We normally record on Mondays, right? And I texted you. I was like, hey, unless any crazy news happens, let's do our top 10 Star Wars characters. And you're like, cool. Actually, Tuesday's better. So I was like, okay, cool, we'll do Tuesday. And then later that afternoon, they announced the Bad Batch. And I was like, oh, great. So...
Would we have missed it, though? I don't remember when it was announced.
I don't think we would have. But I did send out the tweet of like, hey, topic this week is our top 10 Star Wars characters.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Here we are.
So I said definitive at the top. This is ever-changing because I threw this together last night.
I literally threw this together like 5:15 today, so like 15 minutes before we...
Mm-hmm.
But yes, it's not definitive, but it is pretty close, I think.
Yeah. It's my top 5 are probably locked in.
I don't know. I can't say that for sure.
Okay. So for this list, do we want to do popcorn style, like my 10, your 10, my 9, your 9, back and forth that way?
Yeah, why not?
All right. You want to start?
Yeah, I'll start. We're doing 10, so that would be... So number 1 is like most favorite, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So my number 10, I chose Poe Dameron.
Nice. Good pick.
Yeah. I just like his character arc in The Last Jedi. That is probably the only thing I've always enjoyed about that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Consistently. I just think he's a cool character, and he's also one hell of a pilot.
Yeah. I agree. I think he's my favorite, non-force sensitive fighter pilot character. Because I think before with you, I talked about this on the show of like, why do people care about Wedge? I don't get it. And then I'm like, oh, Poe Dameron though.
Exactly. They're kind of the same, except Poe Dameron has much more character development.
Yeah, he's more on the level of like a Han Solo, in terms of like what he gets to do.
Right.
So. Good choice. Good pick.
So what did you choose for your number 10?
My number 10, give it some love to the droids, R2-D2.
Okay.
R2, as a kid, was my favorite Star Wars character, and on that reason alone, he had to make the list. But he's been through it, dude. He's been there. He was it pivotal moments? He saved that ship in Phantom Menace that allowed them to continue their journey.
That is one of my favorite moments in Star Wars.
Yeah, it's just really cool, right? Because it's like R2 is introduced, the whole series is introduced through 3PO and R2 delivering the plans, and then what do you know, it rhymes. R2 saves the day in episode 1 to allow the entire trilogy and 9 movies to happen.
Yep.
It's
pretty cool. They're always there. He's always there, fixing things, getting the heroes out of trouble,
witnessing Anakin commit manslaughter.
Interesting in Legends. I read on Wikipedia, not sponsored, that there is I think it was either a book or a comic where Luke goes into like R2-D2's memory bank and like watches that.
Damn.
That's so messed up, isn't it?
That's very dark.
It is super dark. But anyways, just wanted to say that.
All right. Let's hear your number 9.
Okay, my number 9 is Lando Calrissian.
Another good pick. Very solid.
Because he is quite smooth. He knows how to talk his way through things, and I admire that about him.
Mm-hmm.
He's also a great pilot, and he cares about his friends.
He does.
And I respect that.
Yeah, Lando, I feel like always never got a ton of respect.
Yeah.
You know, like, he does. Like, nobody doesn't like Lando, but he never gets, like, the respect he deserves, you know, or has, like, earned based on what he's done.
Well, because he did, because like, you're introduced to him and he does just, like, such a crappy thing, you know?
Right. But you still love him. That's the crazy thing, and that's why he's so cool.
Right. Well, because you can understand why he did what he did.
Definitely, yeah. And by the end of 5, he comes around, right? Like,
he comes around hard, yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, I really liked the Lando stuff in 9. I thought that was one of the stronger elements. I thought his role in that movie, in terms of, like, not being, like, overbearing of the past, but really just being there in, like, a nostalgic, warm nod to the original trilogy, and it wasn't, like, super in your face about it. So I really liked the way that he was implemented in 9.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like how Disney used him, like, basically to just, like, tug at fans' heartstrings with that, like, horrible moment where, like, 1,000 ships just, like, appear out of nowhere, and he's like used for that moment essentially.
Right. And like I didn't love how at the end it's basically like, "Oh, Jana, maybe I'm your dad." Like that did not like that either, but like just like the way he like Billy D. Williams is a champ. So like the way he was speaking just about like their war and stuff like that, I liked that a lot.
No, yeah, you got to respect the character. He does some bad stuff, but he's a good guy. Deep down, and who doesn't love Lando Calrissian?
Yeah, I agree. My number 9 is honestly might be controversial once we get through the whole thing. I got Padme at number 9.
I don't think that's so controversial.
Okay, so the reason I have Padme here is because, again, had a fondness for the prequels growing up, right? Nostalgia there,
of course,
and I like Natalie Portman a lot, but also because of what at least you've talked to me about, the expanded universe digging that you've done regarding her and her political existence, and really appreciating the narrative, or not the plot of the prequels on our rewatch, as well as like Clone Wars, and seeing how influential she is with Anakin and Ahsoka. Like, I have a lot more respect for Padme now than I did before. Also, she does a lot of really cool, badass stuff in some of the movies, so...
Yeah, no, Padme's a cool character, man. Mm-hmm. I recently read Queen's Shadow, and that is actually a pretty good book. I don't think it's for everybody. It's very political, very slow, and, like, it's kind of boring at sometimes, but... yeah, no, I think that's a good choice. I enjoy Padme as well. I think she's a good character. I think she was kind of underused in the films, unfortunately. Yeah. But that's not really her fault.
Yeah. So, but
she was made. Other media made her better.
Yeah, for sure. And based on what you talked about with it, I do want to read Queen's Shadow eventually. So I'll get to that to see more about her. But
yeah, it's pretty good. I would recommend it.
Nice. What is your number 8?
Okay, so my number 8 is Maul.
Nice.
Yeah, Darth Maul or Maul, whatever. All forms of him. With legs, without legs, whatever. So I just think he's a good villain. And this is an example of somebody who was made better by the TV shows. Mm-hmm. He was kind of nobody. He was just the unnamed, like, bad guy who had, like, no real motivation whatsoever in Phantom Menace, but was really fleshed out in the Clone Wars. Becomes an interesting character with a lot of interesting needs and traits and wants, and it's cool to see his progression. And yeah, I just enjoy him as a character.
Yeah, Maul's great. I used to be terrified of him as a child.
Yeah, okay.
But for sure with Clone Wars, like Sam Witwer elevated the character 1,000,000%. And he's maybe my favorite prequel era villain. I have to think about that more, but I think I can say that.
Probably. Even though he's like, even though he has he's like nothing. Like
right. Because like I like Grievous a lot, but Maul gets depth, you know.
Grievous is pretty cool too.
Yeah, Maul is not on my list, but if I didn't give the shout out to R2, I feel like he probably would have been on here. Same thing with Qui-Gon, especially like Master and Apprentice. He was close. I was thinking about it, but
right, yeah.
My number 8. Speaking of nameless, boring characters, get out of here, Boba Fett. I got Din Djarin on the list.
You got Din Djarin?
Yeah, dude.
All right, you got the Mandalorian on your list.
Yeah, he was really great. I think Mandalorian people and like those characters are really interesting. They have like their creed, their civilization that we saw develop drastically through Clone Wars, and Din Djarin giving like a post-mortem perspective on that creed was super interesting. Like, I feel like his character is really elevated by his supporting cast, and again, like Cara Dune, Grief Karga, elevating Mando, you know, because like there's only so much characterization you can do.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
He's just like a classic. What I think of when I think of Star Wars, of like you know how I said like a while back, like standing by a ship, like some cape going in the wind and stuff like that. It's him. Like he's what I think of when I think Star Wars vibe. So.
No, totally. I think he didn't quite make my list, but it's possible that he will in the future. I think he has a lot of potential.
Part of this pick is good faith, thinking that we're going to get really deep with him next season.
Okay. All right.
But he impressed me. You know, I was never a huge fan of either of the other Mandalorian bounty hunters that we've seen on screen before.
Yeah.
But he stepped it up. So.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
What is your 7?
So my number 7 is Leia Organa.
Nice.
Princess of Alderaan. Princess and Senator of Alderaan. I just think you talk about brave women in fiction, and I think of Leia Organa.
Yeah.
I think she is, you know, I don't know. I just admire her character's personality. She's very fierce and not fierce, very like
tenacious.
After what she wants, and smart, tactical, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And you know, I just think, you know, she can also fight too, so that's cool.
Yeah.
And she's a Jedi.
Yes. Leia is a classic. Leia's great.
She has got everything, man. She's everything.
Yeah, she's a very well-rounded character, and like, I really have to read Bloodlines based on what you and Jack have said about it, into like diving into like her mental processes of like being the daughter of Darth Vader after she fought so hard in the rebellion. Like, all that stuff sounds super interesting, and I feel like we never really get in her head in the films.
It's beautiful, man. You have to read that book.
Yeah, I really want to, because like I really want to see like Leia on the political side, you know, because we don't really get a ton of that in the films, and I feel like there would have been potential in the sequels to do that if we didn't want to like shun off politics in the prequels, like Star Wars politics, after the reception of the prequels.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, Leia, obviously, iconic. But
she's iconic, yeah. What about you?
My number 7 is Luke Skywalker.
All right. Why is he at number 7?
because
that makes me wonder what your number one, what your top five are.
Yeah, so Luke is great, and Luke is Luke. Luke is the hero, and
Okay.
I could move him up a couple slots realistically because of The Last Jedi, because I
don't want to force you. I'm just saying.
Right. Well, my list is missing a character that you've already named, so.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I made some choices, but Luke in 4, he's whiny. I don't really like Luke in 4. He serves his purpose. Luke in 5, again, is showing like his growth, and he's cool. It's like, okay, I can get behind you. Luke in 6, the stoic Jedi sort of thing. His struggle with darkness, very interesting. And then in 8, love him. 8 elevated him for me. But Luke was never my favorite Jedi. I think with the hindsight of all the other Star Wars content we've consumed recently, there's been other Jedi that stand out to me more than Luke. But yeah, Luke, it's Luke, I can't say much about him. He just never really hit me higher than like a mid-tier on the list sort of character.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's an interesting choice. I mean, obviously. Well, I mean, I would say I disagree, and we'll find out later why.
We will. Okay. Number 6 for you?
My number 6 is Han Solo.
Nice.
For obvious reasons. He is just a cool guy, man. Like, he's Han Solo. What else do I have to say, really? Like,
yeah. You really don't have to say anything else. It's Han.
What?
I said you really don't have to say anything else. It's Han,
I mean, yeah, he just kind of I don't know. The way that he is, he's very reminiscent of Lando.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways. I'm thinking of it in the sense that he sticks up for his friends. I think he has one of the most interesting character arcs in the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
I like how he is also frozen in carbonite. I love it.
Yeah, for sure. I like that he's buddies with Chewie.
And he has that good cameo with his son in Episode 9 that nobody expected.
Absolutely. Han is further up for me, but number 6 is Cassian Andor.
Cassian Andor. All right.
Cassian is my favorite aspect of Rogue One. Him and K2.
Cool.
I am very excited for the show because, again, diving into the government of the galaxy sort of deal and seeing the inner workings of the rebellion from his perspective, a spy who had to do bad things for the rebellion, is something that I feel like not a lot of Star Wars media touches on with the Rebels. I can't think of many other characters on the quote-unquote good side that will kill one of their companions in cold blood to get away with important information, or have to be constantly following orders, basically an elite black op service person. He's just so unique to me. There's obviously other rebels that we're familiar with and love, but he's the one that really interests me.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of reminds me of what Han Solo was in the original theatrical release of Episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
Willing to kill, a bad mercenary in that way.
Right.
Just Cassian is a little bit more devoted to causes that are bigger than himself.
Right. So Cassian's A+ for me. Like him a lot.
Yeah. He's a good character. I'm very much excited for that show as well.
Yeah.
But we didn't make my list, Christian.
All right. What's your number 5?
Number 5, I have Ben Solo, Kylo Ren.
Nice.
So yeah, we're getting into top 5 territory here.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't have ever expected to put, somebody from this new generation of movies in my top five, but I really like the idea of Kylo Ren and Ben Solo. I like how Ben Solo turned into Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Reading The Rise of Kylo Ren is extremely interesting for the edification for yourself.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. I also like his lightsaber.
Yeah,
He's got
it's cool.
he's got a cool lightsaber, and he redeems himself. I just don't like Episode 9 at all.
Sure. That's fair. That's completely fair.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
does he show up later on for you?
yes, he does.
Okay.
My number 5 is Han. Like you said, it's Han Solo. I always used to get annoyed when people were like, "Oh, Han's the best character out of Han and Luke." I liked Han more, but like they're just so different, and especially recently, I found myself really invested in the like boots on the ground aspect of Star Wars over the Jedi stuff.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like it's not as prevalent in a lot of the Star Wars content. So when we do get it, I think it's really interesting because there's so many different angles to take with it.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, Han is the OG. Like Han was the first one. And seeing how he grew, seeing him become a father, dealing with that, his back and forth with Leia, obviously, like, it's great.
Yeah. No, he's just like I don't think I used those words exactly, but you're right. He is the OG.
Yeah.
There's nothing like. There's really not anything else you can say. Like he's just so cool. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you just think about. I think about when I was a kid watching those movies. Like you idolize these people.
Yeah, definitely. So, who is your number 4 pick? We are in top 5 now.
Yeah, we're in top 5 territory. My number 4 pick is Ahsoka Tano.
Mm-hmm.
So this was coming, and like I wouldn't have ever expected to have somebody from this new iteration of sequel movies to be on my top 5, nor would I have expected a cartoon character to be in my top 5 Star Wars characters. However, I enjoyed the Clone Wars so much. I especially enjoyed the arc in which Ahsoka Tano loses her faith forever in the Jedi Order.
Yeah.
And I really find that, like, I don't know. I find that really powerful, that she, like, lost faith in something that she had such blind trust in. And, yeah. I don't know. You could relate that to a lot of things.
Definitely.
And I think she also kicks butt.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. And, like, I feel like with Ahsoka, too, you have to take into account her growth within the fandom, too, right? Because, like, you start off as Anakin Skywalker's apprentice in a movie that isn't the best, and then, like, become a fan-favorite character is, like, the star of the finale of this epic multi-year, multi-season saga. Like,
yeah.
She went on a journey, and it's not over.
No, you're right.
So,
does she show up for you?
She does. Yeah. My number 4 is Kylo Ren.
All right.
Interesting. You wrote Ben Solo, and I wrote Kylo Ren.
Well, I wrote Ben Solo / Kylo Ren.
Okay.
Because I know they're supposed to be different people.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just, they're one person.
Right. Yeah. Like, I think the reason I wrote Kylo Ren is because I love him in 7 and in 8, and I like some of his stuff in 9. Like I like his redemption. I like seeing him in like the casual outfit with Anakin's saber. That's cool. Like,
yeah, that is cool.
But Kylo Ren, for the longest time, I said was, to me, it was like if Anakin was done right, because you get the brattiness still that isn't super there in the prequels. Like in the prequels, it's not bratty as much as it is whiny.
Yeah.
But Kylo Ren's like entitled, you know, and I feel like that leads way more into the corruption of the Sith and that kind of dark side energy. And I just thought his entire character was handled very well, from his introduction in 7 to burn it down in 8. Like, I love his entire character in 8. And just how he is sort of responsible for, like it or not, like the death of the original trilogy cast in a way. Like him being this like signal that is in 8 so devoted on like nothing is sacred, and then he is responsible for the deaths of Han, Luke, and Leia, essentially. Like, I really like how he fits into this saga a lot.
Let the past die.
Kill it if you have to.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah. He's great. He was originally higher until recently. So.
Okay, cool.
Who is your number 3?
My number 3 is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Nice.
You know, you can't have a top 5 Star Wars characters without Obi-Wan Kenobi, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
He is the man. Actually, I think reading Master and Apprentice made me understand him more as a character, like where he's coming from.
Absolutely.
And like how he acts and like how he even treats Anakin. It's very illuminating.
Mm-hmm.
But I like him as like a master. I like him as like Qui-Gon's studious apprentice, and I like him in his devotion to Luke. I think that's like the sweetest thing ever. Because he just, you know, he basically is so committed to the Jedi cause until the day he dies.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of beautiful.
Yeah. I love Obi-Wan. That's no secret. So.
Yeah.
My number 3 pick, you already mentioned, Ahsoka Tano.
Nice.
She, again, is an incredible, amazing character, and just the way she, like, there's a theme with some of my picks, Mike, of, like, the person who doesn't like the Jedi,
mm-hmm.
or, like, has a tie to them, but had a falling out. Like, I just think she's so fascinating in terms of being, like, the counterpart to Anakin, of, like, the what if Anakin just, like, thought things out for, like, another 2 minutes. Like,
yeah, true.
I love that about her, and her relationship to, like, everybody in that prequel cast, how she chooses to leave the Order, and that dynamic, like, plus everything you said. She's great. She's one of the best things to happen to Star Wars since A New Hope.
I totally agree with you. She definitely is.
So
I like that assessment of her. She's if Anakin like took 2 more seconds and thought about it.
Yeah.
She's what would happen.
Yeah. Who's your number 2?
My number 2 is Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader.
Me too.
Okay, so you want to just tackle this one together?
Sure. Clone Wars is what got him here for me, because he wasn't on the list originally. I made this list like in December, I think, or I made a list in December. Anakin was not on it. Originally, Leia was on it, and she ended up getting bumped. But Anakin, because of Clone Wars, and because of, like, again, the plot, the on paper aspect of his character, it's like it's the reason Star Wars exists, you know? Like,
oh yeah.
He's great. He's the chosen one.
He's the chosen one. Yeah. You really can't go wrong with him. And, like, honestly, I've always liked him as a character. He's always been one of my favorite Star Wars characters. Mm-hmm. For some reason, like, as a kid, like, I really liked the prequels, and, like, I really thought Anakin was a cool character, and I always, like, felt bad for him, you know, like, in a way, but also not really, because he killed all the younglings. Like, he's a complex he's a complex character. Without him, Star Wars wouldn't exist. And, you know, I think his story is what makes Star Wars so tragically beautiful. And it's what made me love it to begin with. So.
Yeah. I cannot add anything else. That was well said. Who is Mike Connor's number 1 favorite Star Wars character?
My number 1 favorite Star Wars character, as of Tuesday, July 14th, 2020
Sure.
is Luke Skywalker.
Explain yourself.
Explain myself. Well, Luke Skywalker is my hero.
Okay.
Ever since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought of him as such. And therefore, throughout my adult life, I don't think he will ever leave that part of my heart, you know?
Yeah.
So I guess call it just me holding on to my childhood. But yeah, I guess that's why. I mean, I think he's just a cool character, and honestly, The Last Jedi made him even better. I think.
Yeah.
It added a lot of depth to him and a lot of nuance. And people who don't like it just don't like things to change.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
And they're afraid of art. But that's a story for another time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think, like, definitely when I was younger, I loved Luke, you know? And I think just as I grew up, I don't know, I don't think I didn't think he was cool anymore or what. I just, like, found all these other characters I understood more of, like, yeah, Han was cool, but when I was a kid, I was like, yeah, gun guy, I want the laser sword dude. And then...
Yeah.
In time, I was like, oh, Han is, like, really interesting, actually, and his role, his choices he makes in the originals.
Sure.
And then I just feel like because of that, I got separated from my favoritism of Luke in the originals growing up when I first watched them.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Last Jedi really turned it around for me, and I feel like on any given day, he could be within the top 5, but, like, I really hope in the future, whether it's through an animated series or a book or what, I really want more from the mind of Episode 8 Luke.
Yeah.
Like, the way he dealt with the fall of the temple, the way he studied the flaws of the Jedi Council from the Republic. Like, I really want to see more of that Luke, because similar to how Clone Wars made Anakin skyrocket for me, I feel like Luke could easily shoot up to be number 1 if we just get more inside of his head for me.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know if we're ever going to get that. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I really don't think we will.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say never or anything, you know? Like, I think there's always potential. I think maybe live action,
I think it's unlikely.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like at the very least we could still get a book, you know? Like, I think we could maybe get a book or two about Luke post-Temple if we eventually get an animated series about young Ben Solo at the Jedi Temple or whatever.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Yeah. So if the EU can flesh out canon Luke more, I'm definitely interested in seeing his, like, morals and thought processes.
No, for sure.
So.
Yeah. When you say EU, do you mean, like, books and comics and stuff?
Yeah. So, like, canon, like, new era canon.
Because, like, EU is an old term.
Well, isn't it Legends now?
Yeah.
So would Master and Apprentice not be new EU, or would it be just...
It would be new EU. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what you... Yeah, okay.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, like, more, like, canon stories that lead to The Last Jedi Luke is what I'm talking about wanting.
Gotcha. Okay.
And interesting choice. I respect it. Obviously, it's Luke Skywalker. You can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. What about you? What's your number 1? What's Christian Buckley's number 1?
Surprising absolutely nobody. It is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That did not surprise me. Wow.
Yeah. I feel like I've said this story before, but, like, even in everything I just said about Luke, even when I first watched A New Hope, I was like, Obi-Wan is awesome. Like, he's this wise old mentor. He faced off against Darth Vader even in his old age. Like, he made the choice to die. He probably could have kept going and made an escape, but he chose that. Seeing where he goes and, like, the originals, everything you just said about how he cared so much for Luke and the hindsight of him being his best friend's son. And then, of course, like, the prequels and Ewan McGregor's take on the character and the Clone Wars fleshing out how complex he is and how much he struggled in his youth with like the Order and Satine and the conflict of like really trying to stay devoted to this. Yep. And beyond that, Master and Apprentice, where you get a lot of the seeds for this like multi-decade spanning growth of a character. He is absolutely my favorite Star Wars character. That's never going to change. And if you talk like classic Jedi, I do think he is the model. Like, I don't think Luke, because Luke is more along the gray, even if we don't necessarily say it outright. But Obi-Wan, if you look at the Jedi code, not the practice of the Jedi in the Republic, if you look at the code, if you look at what they're supposed to be and what they should stand for, I feel like Obi-Wan's entire life really just encapsulates those ideas perfectly.
Yeah, well said.
Thank you.
I wasn't surprised. I was kind of expecting that as well.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree. Obi-Wan Kenobi, he slaps, man.
He does.
He slaps hard.
Absolutely, and I can't wait for him to slap even more in that show of his.
I know, dude.
So yeah, there you have it. Do you want to run through your list one more time real quick?
Sure. So 10, Poe Dameron, 9, Lando Calrissian, 8, Maul, 7, Leia Organa, 6, Han Solo, 5, Ben Solo, Kylo Ren, 4, Ahsoka Tano, 3, Obi-Wan Kenobi, 2, Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader, and 1, Luke Skywalker.
Very nice. Did you want to give any shout-out, honorable mentions? People who just barely made it?
Yeah, honorable mention, Balatik.
Nice. Very nice. So my number 10 was R2-D2. Number 9 is Padme Amidala. Number 8 is Din Djarin, the Mandalorian. Number 7 is Luke Skywalker. 6 is Cassian Andor. 5 is Han Solo. 4 is Kylo Ren. 3 is Ahsoka Tano. 2 is Anakin Skywalker. And 1 is Obi-Wan, with a very hearty shout-out to Leia Organa and Maul.
Nice. Those are the honorable mentions.
Yeah. So there you go. There you have it. Those are. Oh yeah, those were mine.
Oh yes. Another honorable mention for me. The guy, what's his name? The guy who carries the ice cream thing.
Oh, I'm blanking. I'm forgetting his name.
That guy's name. Whoever he is. He's my second honorable mention.
Yeah. Also, I feel like we can agree on a mutual third honorable mention being
Will
Captain
Rohood.
Rex. Will Rohood, yes, of course. Also Rex, like shout out to Rex, he's a cool guy.
Definitely.
So, honestly, you know what? I didn't even realize this. I'm kind of surprised there's no Rebels characters on your list.
Yeah, because Rebels, like, I don't know. The more I think about Rebels, more I like Rebels, but like, the characters aren't as memorable as like some of the other ones.
That's fair. I was just curious because I know you've seen the whole show, not like me. But that is our lists. Listeners, if you're listening to this on a podcast service, go over to YouTube, leave us your list. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, leave the list down below because I'm curious. I feel like we could. I was surprised that like how different our lists were. I thought there'd be so much overlap.
Yeah, there wasn't that much overlap. I was surprised by some of your picks. Like, honestly, I didn't expect The Mandalorian to be on yours, but yeah.
Yeah, and
it was good content, I think.
It was. So you can do that. Leave them down below. Maybe we'll shout some out in the future. But that is the end of episode 40. So, Mike, if there's anything you'd like to shout out, do so now.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Mike P. Commerce.
Very nice. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Chris N. Buckley. This year's show is available on podcast services like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, a variety of others. If you can rate or go ahead.
This here show.
This here program. If you can rate or review the show, the episode, on your podcast service of choice, it would be greatly helpful to us. Continuing the show for another 40. Another 40 after that.
Indeed.
And if you're on youtube.com/joyclicks, you're watching us podcast live. Not live, but you're seeing us speak and move. So we are alive.
Indeed.
I was almost there. This isn't a hologram.
Thank God I'm alive.
I know. And yeah, if you're new to Joy Clicks, so welcome. Subscribe if you're new. This podcast goes up every Wednesday on video and audio. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one. We will see you next week for episode 41. Maybe we get another crazy week in news. We'll see.
We'll have to see. Yeah.
Yeah. But until then, we're fine. Everything's fine. How are you?
May the Force be with you.
General Kenobi.